Welcome to the Real Estate Jam session. I'm really excited about today's interview. Jerome Maldonado, he's been a real estate entrepreneur since 1993. He started his own real estate company. He started a development company. Then he started partnering with Ty Lopez, and they bought Radio Shack, Modell's, Pier 1 Imports, Dress Barn. And they're taking all these brands and they're putting them under umbrella and then growing these brands again. It's a pretty amazing story. So make sure you check out the video. Give us a like while you're there. If you're new to the channel, my name is Joe Killinger. I've been a real estate entrepreneur for over 20 years. And I use this YouTube channel to really walk you through what works and what doesn't work in real estate investing. And in today's case, Jerome's going to walk us through what's really working well for everything they're doing for retail. It's pretty exciting stuff. So make sure you check out the video. And again, while you're there, give us a like. If you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe.
I go.
Well, Jerome, thank you for coming on the show today. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's really, with what you guys are doing with Pier 1 and Modell's and Radio Shack, in a time with retail is kind of an unknown, you guys seem to have a finger on the pulse of what's really going on, how to really utilize e-commerce properly. So I appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, Joe, thank you for having me. And I'd love to get in a little insight on some of the stuff we're doing on the real estate sector, and then even some of the e-commerce stuff and how we're merging the two. And I'm excited actually to hear even a little bit about what you guys have going on in the Dallas area and so forth. Yeah. So thank you for having me.
You bet. You bet. So I actually didn't know that you guys were doing that much in real estate. Could you kind of walk us through what you're doing in real estate?
So my independent companies, I have Quad J Capital Holdings, and I've been buying land and building houses since the late 90s. And I own a lot of retail centers. I used to build them and develop them from ground up. And that's my real background is real estate development. I started in the late 90s developing, and we now do a lot of multifamily build and hold. We have about a little over 100 million on the books for 2022. 3 different projects that are multifamily, all over 100 units. Well, one is 87 units, but the other ones are over 100 units. And so we've kind of evolved over the years. We still own a lot of little retail, small retail, mom and pop type retail centers, and we own some office and warehouse buildings, and we own a lot of multifamily as well. But yeah, we're still building, we're still developing, we're still doing ground up construction and developing, and we've pivoted a little bit, but we still have a lot of that going on as well.
What markets are you in, Jerome?
We're in the Washington State market. We have a lot of stuff in Phoenix. The Phoenix market, the Phoenix, Tucson, Arizona market's a big. We're real bullish in that area, and we have a little bit of stuff going on in California over by the Desert Hot Springs and Palm Springs area. We have developments here in New Mexico, and then Ty and I are doing some stuff down in Puerto Rico right now. Some big high-end luxury builds, $15 million homes, just kind of a little unique market that we're hitting on because of the tax incentives over in Puerto Rico. So we kind of hit a target market to the ultra wealthy, and we got some warehouses over in Virginia, and so we're kind of all over the place. We got a little bit of everything going on all over the country.
Yeah, you guys are very diversified for the way it sounds. Now, are you part of with Ty? I see that he's doing some farm investments. Are you part of that as well?
A small piece of one of them. That's Ty's deal. He loves it. I think it's a great asset class. He's real bullish in the farm industry. He lived with the Amish for a few years when he was young, just out of high school, and he has a real heart space. I think that's where he really hangs his hat and holds his heart, is on the farm. From hanging out with him and being with him. When he seems to be the happiest and most at home and the most comfortable, it's when he's on that ranch over in Virginia.
I grew up on a working farm in Nebraska, a town of 281 people. So obviously the dating pool was pretty shallow, but it was a real working farm. And, I hated it as a kid. I just, because you had to actually work. You were up early, working all day out in the field and then into the night. But as I've gotten older, I really have an appreciation, and I see the investment value. And I think for what we're going through right now, with everything going on in the world, we're really starting to see a need for farmers, and doing it right, do it more organic.
I
And
do
that's just
too.
what he's doing, right?
Yeah, he's doing organic farming over there. And I also grew up with cattle
Did you?
ranching. And
Okay.
so, yeah, we grew up with about 800 heads, and then it dwindled as we got older, and my uncles and these guys got a little older. We dwindled down to 35 head, but cattle, horses, and dogs. We
Yeah.
baling hay, and a lot of hay baling as a kid. A lot of fist fighting and hay baling over at the ranch as a kid.
Oh, those were the best. I really
Yeah.
think, it was a great time. Obviously, as a kid, you don't really realize how great it is to have that opportunity to work that hard, but it really sets you. It sets you for the future. Your mindset is right. You're not afraid of hard work.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. I love being out there. I wish I could have a big ranch, and you can, right? But we get so busy with kids, their lives, everything that the kids have going on, family, business, work, that it's now what used to be a lot of work, and like you said, almost dreadful to get up and go bale hay. It's back, but damn, I love to load a trailer full of hay and that straw out of the back of my neck on a sweaty summer day, and just call it good. Go grab a burger and a drink at the end of the day, and that seemed to be the good life, right?
Yeah, it sure does. Hindsight's always 20/20, I guess, right? A cold beer never tasted so good until you've done that for a day. You go moving bales around, but so now your real estate that you're doing. What are you guys looking for going down the road? What's the future look like for what you guys are going to do?
So a little bit of diversification. We have a lot of diversified interest in everything that we do. I think we kind of got diversified more so because we were ambitiously looking for the best business that had the least amount of work and the largest profits, like any young entrepreneur in their 20s, right? And so as we've evolved and now we're pushing closer to our 50s, we have it, and not because we did it methodically, in all honesty, but we have a good diversification. We've been pushed into diversifying because of the 2008 recession, because of the pandemic, because of life circumstances. And I think we're going to be pushed again here real soon. We have a lot more foresight now that we have a lot more education. So now methodically we go into other sectors. So we are bullish in the industrial warehouse space, having ownership and partnerships in the brands like Pier 1 Imports, Radio Shack, Modell Sporting Goods, and some of the brands. We will be opening up small boutique style retail centers that are more fulfillment. You go in, they're real small, where you have one shopping center that houses like 5 different brands, and you can do the shoe store, the shoe guys. You can get your shoes. We got Payless shoes. Payless now is under ownership with us, and so there's a lot of different stuff that you can go in there, and we're going to have little fulfillment centers throughout the country in large markets. Not nearly the real estate, probably less than a quarter of what Dress Barn and Pier 1 and Radio Shack and all the big brands had back in the days. But we will have little pieces of those throughout the country. My team runs the real estate end of ESR, which is e-commerce supporting real estate. And so I sit as the chairman and CEO of that company. And then I'm going to continue building out my multifamily portfolio. I do a lot of build and hold. I like the rooftops. I get into it with a lot of fat equity because I am the developer. So being the developer, the builder, and the owner, I obviously walk in pretty handsome on all those. So those are an asset class that I just love because of it's all hands off. It's 100% passive for us. I know that Joe, you mentioned that you guys still manage a lot of your stuff. I try to dust my hands off of it when I'm done building it, and I just give it away to property managers, and I just audit paper. And so that's kind of where we've migrated to. And we're continuing to build out some subdivisions. We build slow. We don't do it in a real stressful fashion anymore like we did at one point in time. It's good cash flow. I really love the buying land and building houses. It feels good. It's my domain. I love being out there in the dirt. I love being out there when the houses are being framed. I love the smell of the wood. I love the dust on my boots. I just, it's me. It's me, in all honesty. It fits my personality. It's just who I am. And
you can take the ranch out of the boy out of the ranch, but you can't take the ranch out of the boy, right?
Yeah,
You
I
always
love
like
that.
get in and get gritty.
Yeah, yep. I just love it. I love that part of the business. And so even though it was one of the more stressful parts of our business for so many years, we don't run it like that anymore. We build a few a year, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the process. So I'll probably continue to do that till the day I die, I bet. I don't know. We'll see how that goes as we
Well,
continue.
I love what you guys are doing with the retail. So could you tell us the brands that you guys actually are part of? What do you own?
So Modell Sporting Goods,
Mhm.
Dress Barn, Radio Shack, the Franklin Mint, the Shoe Guys, the Shoe Guys. We got Payless Shoes. We have Steinmart. There's some, and then we have some of the like Mentor Box and Farmer's Cart, which are Ty actually started and developed those, which are all owned under a company called Schweizer Alexander. So there's, we have quite a few brands under ownership at this point in time. And then there's a few other ones that are some European brands that I have small ownerships in them, but I didn't invest a lot into the overseas brands. But Ty and them have some tech companies that they've brought in now, doing some Coinbase stuff with Radio Shack, Bitcoin.
Okay.
That they've developed. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Alex runs all of the coin-based assets and cryptocurrencies that we're moving into, and some of the brands. I really don't get involved in a lot of that. I invest with it, and I have ownership in it, but I just kind of stay as a silent partner in a lot of that side of the business.
Okay. Now, are you guys going to take, like, most of these stores you're naming are they're just e-commerce right now, right?
Yeah. So here's the goal. So when a lot of these stores were obviously in financial distress because retail was dying. So a lot of the other stuff like GNC we looked at, but a big Chinese equity owned company was very bullish on that one. So we couldn't really even get into GNC. One of the first ones that actually came to the table years ago, and I remember being at the ranch with Ty, driving towards Richmond, Virginia to catch a plane out of there. And Ty, where I was driving down, was Victoria's Secrets. And Victoria's Secrets is actually rebranded. They've done a good job pulling out of bankruptcy. And I don't know if they're completely out, but I think they're doing a lot. I think they're doing a lot better now. I think they had some interest, some institutional interest that came in, helped them out, and took some ownership of it. But some of the brands that we were least expected of acquiring came to the table. The pandemic accelerated that. And because the retail sector, it wasn't the brands that were bad. These companies were still doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue every year and sales. But the real estate was just killing them, Joe. They were just getting annihilated with real estate. And there was no means of getting out of it. So because of the changes in e-commerce and retail and the traditional way of going to stores, these companies were sitting in bankruptcy or partial bankruptcy or just negotiated sales to get out of them. Like Dress Barn wasn't actually in bankruptcy, but they needed out. They were moving in that direction. And so common sense said, take the part of the business that is no longer viable, which was the retail end, and take them 100% online. Yeah. And so the goal was to just take the intellectual properties in bankruptcy, let the bankruptcy courts relinquish all of the real estate assets independently. And so in bankruptcy, that stuff all got migrated through the bankruptcy courts. We let them handle that. They took the intellectual interest and put them online, which has been a lot of work. But most of them are all EBITDA positive now. So we're breaking some profits. They're moving in a really good direction. A lot of institutional buyers and institutions are coming, wanting to invest. We haven't allowed any in at this time. They want to help take them public. We're still very apprehensive to take any of the companies public. There's some attractive qualities to taking them public again, but there's more attractive qualities to keeping them privately held. And we just, right now, where they sit, if we kept them privately held, we have more control over what we do and how we do it. We take them public, then we have a public interest. And now, there's specific things that have to be done in certain aspects, different ways, and a lot more regulation over the top. This way, if we keep them private for a while, we can build them out the way we want to get them built and then expand as we want to expand. And I think the interest to take them public will always be there. These are great American brands, you know.
Oh yeah, as you rattled them off, I knew every one of them. I didn't know
Yeah.
Dress Barn. I just thought they'd went south because I'm coming from Nebraska. I saw them around there often. Now, are you guys? You said before you're going to take some of these and probably put them in retail centers. Are you just going to create your own retail centers with a fulfillment center in the back and pick a certain number of brands for each center?
So yes, we will be building out our own, and like we acquired, I mean, like Linen and Things is another one that people thought were gone, Joe.
Yeah,
and it was, but the intellectual properties were still there, the email list, everything. And so we bought that was kind of a throw in when we bought the Franklin Mint. They kind of didn't just throw it in, but it didn't cost us very much to purchase Linen and Things, the intellectual property. But when you say it, everybody over the age of 30 knows what Linen and Things is. It's as big as Bed Bath and Beyond, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to take this stuff. We have like bedding, shoes, clothing, women's clothing, men's clothing, and you have all these different desired needs of retail products. And yes, they'll be in one housed retail center, but in a very small form. So it'll be more like a fulfillment center. And we're kind of, we're visually we're just kind of speculating at this point in time.
Right.
We're watching a lot of what Amazon and Walmart are doing, and we're watching to see what works. One of the things that we've learned is that typically the first guy in the game is not the one that's the most successful. So you take a look at companies like Amazon. Jeff Bezos was not the first e-commerce online company. He came in a little bit later, learned from all the mistakes that the early ones came in and made, in all the mistakes they made, and perfected them. And now he's the big guy. So we're kind of doing the same thing. We're watching what all the big guys and early fulfillment centers are doing, let them work out the kinks, and we're going to model a lot after it. Joe, I've learned over the years, don't try to reinvent the wheel. A lot of what works the best is just copy what's already working and duplicate a process. And so we're going to do that and then make that process that's working even better.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. I mean, it's just, Bezos hasn't done too bad with his opportunity he created, did he?
No,
you can copy that, you'll do okay. Are you guys going to continue buying brands?
If they come available, yes, okay. We're always looking at stuff. Just like distressed real estate, we're always looking at distressed brands. Brahms is one of the European companies that we purchased. That one just got acquired not too long ago. Okay. So as companies come available, we will. It's just that right now, the pandemic, you kind of hyper focused. We bought a lot more brands than we thought in a shorter amount of period of time than we ever thought were going to be available. And because of the pandemic, it's hyper stimulated. So we just figured, well, let's buy them and we'll figure out what to do with them once we've acquired them, because once we own the intellectual properties. And really the first brand is the hardest because you don't really know what you're doing. So Dress Barn was the guinea pig. A lot of mistakes made with Dress Barn. Not acquiring the inventory was a big deal. Then when we had to produce, when the inventory is being produced, there was no credit because they had defaulted. They had defaulted with a lot of the manufacturers and overseas. And so a lot of that we had to raise a lot of capital to be able to produce inventory. Right. And so there was a lot of logistical stuff. So we learned that with Pier 1 Import, we ended up buying some inventory, bringing on a little bit of their staff as consultants, just to be able to do things a little different. But Dress Barn was great because we acquired Dress Barn, I think it was September of, 2018, if I'm not 18 or not 18, I believe. And so, and then didn't acquire another brand until the following year in like July. And that was Pier 1 Imports was the second one. So we had a good 7-8 month run before we really had we picked up another brand. And there was a lot of learning in that 7-8 months that we did. And so the team, and when I say we, I really should say Dr. Alex Meir, because he's really the one that spearheaded a lot of this, and Ty did too. I was working on real estate stuff and I was investing money and I knew what was going on because of all the CEO chats and stuff. Very interesting. I've learned a lot just being a part of everything that's going on and the trial and error and everything that's happened over the course of the last 3 years while we've been doing this.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be more opportunity as we move forward and may end up dipping into a recession?
Oh yeah, in many sectors, and we're going to move into a recession. I mean, I can't see it any other way, Joe. I mean,
I
do
know.
you? I look forward to this stuff in so many ways.
I lost you there, Jerome. Here
Sorry,
he
Joe,
comes.
my Wi-Fi got kicked off there for some
That's
reason.
all right. I kept recording. Just keep going.
Well, so yeah, there's going to be a ton of opportunity, and
Yeah.
I look forward to this. On the same note, you kind of always, I think, in the back of your mind, if you, because how long you been in the business, Joe?
Since the early 90s.
Okay, so early '90s. I got started in the late '90s. So you have some veteran aspects to real estate than I do, but we've been in it for a long time. So I think anytime you go through some ups and downs, there's always still a little bit of worry in the back of your mind. We're human, right? I think my worry, well, I had no worry in 2008 until it actually plowed me over and took me down, right? Like
Yeah.
I didn't lose any assets, but it definitely whipped my tail for sure. And so we had to work super hard to get through that. We're set up substantially different now than we were back then. So, God willing, there's unforeseen circumstances for sure, but God willing, I think we're in a really good position right now. And I, with knowing now what I did in Phoenix back in 2009, 10, 11, and where if there's a recession, we're ready for it. I'm excited to make a little pivot in what we're doing. We're going to stop building. We're going to take in some value add assets. I think there's going to be some people that get washed out a little bit, and unfortunately, but we didn't create those circumstances, Joe. So I think you as well as I'm sure you'll be looking to take advantage of some of those opportunities where other people left opportunity on the table. And so in the real estate sector, I think there's going to be some great opportunity. And in the retail sector, I think it's going to continue. I think e-commerce is still going to continue dominating over traditional brick and mortar. And as those opportunities come available and we find the right deals, and if they pencil, we move,
Yeah.
And so
I think it's a good time. I just read this morning that Jessica Simpson actually put a group of investors together and brought her brand back. So she has that wholly known now. So a lot of movement is already starting to happen. So I think you're going to see more and more. Well, Jerome, I know you're a busy guy, so I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I really appreciate you taking this time. And man, the success you've had is phenomenal. I hope this all works out incredible for you. And what's the future? I mean, you're just going to be sitting and waiting for deals and buying more brands and raising your family, I guess. So life is good, right?
Yeah, the future holds more towards my kids now. We're still picked. There's always unfinished puzzle pieces, right, to whatever we're doing. And so I got a lot of unfinished puzzle pieces that I'm still putting together, helping a lot of people create success in their own lives. I think now at this point in our lives, I think it's important. So we're dragging some good colleagues along with us, and watching some people that without our influence are now having success and probably couldn't have done it without that influence in this short amount of time. And so that's always cool. But I'm going to pivot towards that as my kids are starting to get a little older. My son's going into high school, as they move through college and move out into their own worlds. I think they're going to land up pivoting back to daddy's means. As children, we all often think that mom and dad know nothing, right? And so I'm the dad that knows nothing right now. And I'm not so cool dad and not so smart and wise. And my son's starting to get it. He's looking around and he's starting to understand it a little more. And so the questions he asks are a lot more intriguing. So yeah, raising family and partnering with my kids to help them get set up, I think is going to be a big part of our future as we pivot and continue moving forward in this game.
Well, that's why you've worked so hard, and it's a great path forward. So, well, Jerome, thank you very much for coming on. And for those of you watching, make sure you check out the video, give us a like. If you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe. Jerome, I hope you come back on again. I want to keep getting updates on all this retail you're working on and your real estate and the kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, just reach out to me, Joe, anytime. And I appreciate you having me and introduce me out to your audience. And anytime you want me on the show, you reach out, we'll make it happen.
That sounds good. Thank you, Jerome.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Appreciate you having me on.